Week 9 has arrived, and it's starting to get spooky. I can hear that spooky music. It's getting spooky in fantasy football land. We're serving up a special Halloween edition of the Fantasy G.O.A.T. It's time. Let's trick or treat.
Who starts? Who sits? And how to become the greatest of all time. This is the Fantasy G.O.A.T. Sponsored by La Bonita Supermarkets.
Ooh, it's a little spooky in here in the den at Fox 5. Hello and welcome. This is the Fantasy G.O.A.T. I'm your host, Mike Davis, here with a great panel of fantasy football experts. Joining the show, we have Ian Ritchie, co-founder of Full-Time Fantasy and a former #1 fantasy player in the world. Jason Feinberg, a fantasy football enthusiast and commissioner of the Dr. Feinberg Invitational and the Manning Man Crush League. And we also have Sean Cruzen with Sports Illustrated and Full-Time Fantasy as well. So it's great to have you guys here with us. This time, we're celebrating fantasy football with a little Halloween twist. Everything we discuss today will be framed as either trick or treat. So let's start with quarterback. So Jason, Bo Nix, is he a trick or a treat for fantasy managers moving forward?
Okay, so I think he's a treat. However, if you associate it with candy, which is what I'd like to do for this episode.
Yes, please.
For most of the season, he is a solid Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. That's pretty solid. Yeah.
It's maybe even elite.
I think he could be that. This week, though,
yes.
I think he's going to have problems, so I'm going to put him down more like a Milky Way.
Wow.
Which is kind of really good, but not with the elites.
Okay, see,
this is going to be a tough defense he's going up against this time around.
I like how you're framing these analogies so far. Listen, Bo Nix, he had a lot of haters coming into the league. A lot of people thought he was the worst of his QB class, and maybe how much of it is Sean Payton, how much of it is other factors, but he surely looked good against Dallas. But everybody looks good against Dallas. Sean, tell us, is he a trick or treat moving forward? I mean, I think he's in the top 5 or 4 of fantasy quarterbacks right now. He's ahead of a lot of good quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, so far he's absolutely been a treat. We have him ranked on the year at QB8. But he's also faced some of the worst passing defenses in the league, Mike. So for me going forward, I have Bo Nix more at this level as a trick. And so I'm going to put him down there with the licorice and not with the Reese's.
Hey, I like licorice.
Okay, well, that's where that's his level. Yes, exactly. So he is a play this week there is a cause for concern.
Yeah.
He's playing the Houston defense, which has allowed the least amount of points to fantasy quarterbacks. Yeah. He follows that up with Kansas City and San Francisco. So the sugar rush is over, guys, on Nix. He's going to probably end up projecting as a high ceiling QB2, finishing somewhere around 14.
So you're really out on him.
Well, this week, we have him ranked number 24 at full-time, and over at Sports Illustrated, we have him a little bit higher at 17. Those are both QB2 numbers, Mike, so look out. I think it could be a spooky proposition for Bo Nix this week.
Somebody came to play. Somebody came for Halloween. Mr. Sean Cruzen doing a good job. Ian, is Bo Nix, kind of like getting a potato in your Halloween sack, or is it like getting a good candy bar? What do you think?
No, he's a trick. I don't like Bo Nix moving forward at all. I agree with Sean. We do have him ranked at number 8 overall so far. I think he's going to fall like a rock from there. We have them ranked 24th, like Sean said, this week. They have the 12th toughest schedule moving forward, which isn't terrible, but it's they face the number 1 toughest rush defense. And so if they don't have a good balance, he's going to be in some real trouble throwing the ball downfield. I like Sean Payton quite a bit, and I do trust in him. I do not trust in Bo Nix at all moving forward. I used to kind of think he and Drake May were on the same trajectory, but I see them completely separating themselves, and I see Drake May becoming quite the better quarterback on a weekly basis.
Wow.
So I agree. Bo Nix is moving forward a number 2 quarterback for me, and a definitely backup.
I didn't see this happening. This is so fascinating. Real quickly before we go to break, Ian, so does that mean the likes of Sutton and Troy Franklin and R.J. Harvey, who just had his best game as a player, even Dobbins, do we have to start looking at all those players, the repercussions of Bo Nix kind of fading out, or is it going to affect those guys negatively as well?
I think it definitely affects the secondary guys, right? I think against the terrible defenses like the Dallases of the world, everybody gets to eat. right? They get to choose who they want. Franklin has a big game because they chose it to be Franklin that game. It could have been anybody. Harvey had some big touchdowns in games where they play lousy teams. The stars will do well. I think Sutton will do fine. Dobbins will do fine. It'll be the secondary guys that get hurt as the passing game falls. It'll be the Franklins and the Mims that end up dropping down.
Okay, interesting stuff there. All right, well, we all caught a scare last week with the Cam Scadaboo injury. Next up, we're talking about his replacement, though, Tyrone Tracy. Is he a trick or a treat? We get that next.
You're watching the Fantasy Go, sponsored by La Bonita Supermarkets.
All right, Cam Scadaboo not only provided points for his fantasy managers, but he also provided joy and entertainment, a lot of what Halloween also does for us. So it was a collective sadness around the league and for fans, as we all felt last week after that gruesome injury, total sadness, and we're praying for Cam and his family. But now Tyrone Tracy steps into his role. So Ian, will Tracy be a trick or a treat for managers? I know I spent a lot of FOB money going after this guy this week. Do you like him as a trick or a treat?
I like him as a treat. I think that look, he's not going to get Scadaboo numbers, right? So let's just get rid of that right off the bat. He is what he is. He's a 5th-round draft pick who's going to come in. He's going to get you 10 to 12 points a week. He's touchdown dependent to get to the mid-teens and higher. But while you're dealing with injuries and bye weeks and things like that, he's a good guy you can put in as a flex or as a second running back if you need it. They do face the 6th toughest schedule against running backs moving forward. But I really think Jackson Dart helps him with that running game, especially when they run the RPO. They're going to have to assign a linebacker to him, which opens up a little more space for Tracy. So he will get the volume. I would watch Singletary at the goal line to make sure he doesn't hawk any of those touchdowns from you. But I think this late in the season, when you pick up a guy who's going to get the volume, then that's definitely a treat for your lineup. Yeah,
I agree. I know a lot of fantasy managers probably were in a similar situation like me. You have a McCaffrey, but your RB2, it was maybe a Jordan Mason or, a Tajay Spears, something kind of like that. So you're trying to get somebody who can propel you and bring a little bit of juice. And if you can get 10 to 12, 14 points from your RB2, if you're loaded in other areas, it's not a bad situation. So, Cruzen, tell us what you think. Did you go after him in any leagues? And what do you think about Tracy's outlook for the rest of the year?
Well, I agree with Ian. Going forward, Tracy is a treat for me. You know, when you walk up to the door and they usually have the small candies, but some people have the full candy bar. Tracy's a full candy bar going forward. Yeah, I had picked him up.
He's king size.
He's king size going forward. Absolutely. He's by far the number one. Singletary will be his handcuff going forward. This week, we have him ranked as an RB18, so he is an RB2. And I think, he showed last year in that role. He overtook Singletary, became the number one. Certainly not going to have Scadaboo numbers, but going forward, you can start him this week with confidence and start him most likely going to forward depending on matchups. So for me, he's definitely a treat on this, Halloween.
I love that. Okay, and Jason, I think you're about to reveal your favorite candy bar. Right
I'm actually going to save it for
another block.
Yeah, but I want to work off of Sean's scenario with when you approach the door for trick or treating.
Okay,
but
this is big.
I'm not These two are looking at it from the statistics, which is good. I'm looking at it from a morale storyline. Okay, so when you go up to the door as Cam Scadaboo, dressed as Cam Scadaboo, you get the person, like he said, with the full candy bars. They bring out the pumpkin and says, take as much as you want. If you walk up as Tyrone Tracy, you get the dentist who's giving you a toothbrush. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen with the morale. If they don't get off to a big start, I think Jackson Dart is going to melt down, and he may just start chucking it because he's going back to his Mississippi days, and he may ignore Tyrone Tracy.
So you're saying we're getting floss.
We might be getting floss. If they don't start quickly and, with Tyrone Tracy, they might be out.
I already hate Dennis as it is. and this is like you approach the door, they got 7 Ring doorbells, and they're really making, they already don't like children. They don't want children on their property. And now instead of getting that Butterfingers, you're going to get some floss. That's not a good thing. I'm praying that he does turn out to be that king-size candy bar, Sean, that you were mentioning, but we will have to see. Now, don't go anywhere, guys, because there's more Fantasy GOAT Halloween Special Edition right around the corner. All right, welcome back to the Fantasy GOAT. This week, our commissioner's choice goes to Lamar Jackson. Returning from injury, Jackson tossed 4 touchdowns for a total of 25 points. And now, for the commissioner's choice of the week from La Bonita, let's go shopping. What's up, guys? Mike Davis here at La Bonita in Green Valley. 7 locations, 8 on the way. I'm hanging out here with Armando. Armando, when it comes to Sunday football, I don't like to leave my sofa, okay? I don't want to move, and I need some staples. I need nachos, I need burritos, all that good stuff. And you guys can actually help bring food straight to my couch. How do you make it happen?
We can. You can order online with shoplajuanita.com or go to Uber Eats. The cool thing about La Juanita is when you walk into our stores, you'll see this taqueria inside each store. And it's full-blown, authentic Mexican food. So you can find this department on Uber Eats, order this stuff, get ready for game day on Sunday morning, and this stuff will come out quickly. You know, like we have all the traditional stuff. You know, right here we have a carne asada burrito. You have some carne asada nachos. I think that's a staple for game days.
Yeah, 100%.
Sunday morning, Saturday morning games, this is some menudo. You can ask any of your Mexican friends, this is great for a hangover. This is our go-to for hangovers on those Saturday and Sunday mornings. This is available all week. The tamales, you can order these on Uber Eats. The homemade tamales, same thing you'll find at Isla Bonita. All this stuff you can find on Uber Eats and everything else we have in the store.
Boom. So they make it easy. La Bonita, you can go shop from La Bonita or just go on Uber Eats. You can see all your game day staples that you need to dive into. And I got to dive in right now. Carne asada nachos. It doesn't get better than that on game day. Armando, dig in. Guys, good luck this week in fantasy football.
You're watching the Fantasy GOAT. Sponsored by La Bonita Supermarkets.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So thanks for joining us here. I'm Mike Davis. Let's focus now on some wide receivers. There's that Halloween scary music again. This is an interesting one. I'm actually really excited to hear the panel's thoughts on this. So Marvin Harrison Jr., moving forward, will he be a trick or a treat for fantasy managers? Jason, I know this is your big block.
Yeah,
I want to reveal your big candy here, too.
Again, and I do think he's a treat. It's a painful, it's a treat with a cavity. You know, it's you ate so much that you know it hurts, but it's going to get there. You're going to get that filling.
Yeah.
But this for the near future, I think it has to do with who the quarterback is.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a no-brainer. This is low-hanging fruit, but Kyler Murray would be bite size. You're getting a bite size. I don't know. Let's go with
nerds.
Nerds. Thank you. Yeah, we'll go with nerds. But Jacoby Brissett, now I won't say he's a full candy bar, but I will go with my favorite candy bar, the 100 grand bar.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
So if they keep Jacoby Brissett in there, who is taller and can see, he can see him.
Oh, yeah.
And
he's old.
And he's mature. Yeah, right.
He's mature.
Yeah,
He's been around forever.
I think that Marvin Harrison will do better with him. But overall, I've always had a good feeling about Marvin Harrison Jr.
See, and that's the way I feel. Marvin Harrison Jr. to me is like that candy bar that just comes out and they got everything in it. They got too much in it. They got peanut butter. They got nougat. They got caramel. They got chocolate. They got sea salt. They got regular salt. They got everything is loaded in this thing. And it just, you read the ingredients and you're like, this should be the best tasting candy bar of all time.
So why is it not?
His dad is Marvin Harrison, right? And you open it up and you bite it and you can't decide if you like it or not.
Yeah.
That's how Marvin Harrison Jr. is to me. Ian, I mean, come on. This guy, he has all the makeup of what an elite wide receiver should be. What's up with this dude? Is he going to turn it around? Is he a trick or is he a treat?
He's middle of the road. I mean, he's got the curse of the Cardinals. You know, he's got the little Smurf throwing him the football, and that's really hard. And Jason's right. You know, he really needs Brissett back in there to see the ball. You know, his problem is he has only had more than 6 targets once this entire season. And you're not going to pay a lot of fantasy bills when you're not getting any targets. The one game he did have more targets, he had 10. If he keep that pace up, then he's going to be a real treat for people. And just to give you some perspective on it, Trey McBride has only had 1 game the entire season with less than 7 targets. So, you know, he's not getting the first look. He's barely getting the second look. And so he's just kind of middle of the road. And I think you need to temper expectations from where you drafted him. Like, he's not going to put up the numbers where you picked him. He's going to put up more the numbers where, you could have gotten him in the 5th or 6th round, and he's going to get you 12 points. He's had 4 games under 10 points this year. He's had 3 games with only two catches and 2 or 3 targets. So it's a real target issue for him, and they're throwing the ball. I mean, Murray's averaging 30, 32 passes a game. He's just not seeing them. Yeah. So, to me, he's good and plenty.
No, not so good.
Yeah.
Good and fruity, at least.
That's middle of the road.
There you
sure.
go. It sounds like a potato to me. Cruzen, what do you think? What's going to be in our sack if you throw Marvin Harrison Jr. in there? Because, we all take the pillowcase, right? That's what we all.
We want the most.
I'm going to go away from the candy analogy. I'm going right to the costume. Marvin Harrison should be wearing a ghost costume. I've had 50 high-stake leagues in the last 2 years, and I've owned him 1 time. Now, we all know I'm not big on rookie wide receivers, other than Nick Buka has been one that I've really liked in the last couple of years. But to Ian's point, the volume isn't there. He currently ranks 32nd in receivers for the amount of target share. He's been inefficient. He's averaged 1.97 yards per route, which is 38th in the NFL. So for me, I stay away until we see more. So I am right now leaning as Harrison as a trick. He should be wearing a ghost costume for Halloween, because that's really what he's been.
It's just a shame
so far to start his career.
Like, I didn't draft this guy over Nico Collins. Like, I didn't draft him over elite wide receivers. It was just he was falling already because of how he was performing last year. But you would think he has the goods to deliver a little bit more. And then what happens is he, in the offseason, after a disappointing rookie year, he puts on 20 pounds of muscle. That was the most viral thing we saw on social media. It's like when your girlfriend breaks up with you, you get abs and you put on 20 pounds of muscle, but then you never go out to a bar and you just sit home and play video games. So why did you put on all this muscle? Like, what do you do? Why do you need abs? It makes no sense. So I don't know. I'm just so puzzled with the Marvin Harrison Jr. stuff, and we'll see what happens. But it sounds like everybody here thinks he's a little bit more of a trick than a treat. Coming up, though, last week was tight end week. Who will be the spooky tight end we need to discuss and stay away from? We'll tell you after these words.
You're watching the Fantasy Go, sponsored by La Bonita Supermarkets.
All right, welcome back. Last segment here. So Sam LaPorta is still trying to find the numbers and the rhythm from his rookie season. And Jason, moving forward, it just sounds weird. Detroit, they're such a great team. They have so much tremendous superstars on this team. A lot of fantasy goodness comes from that offense, and Sam LaPorta is still trying to figure out how to play like he did in his rookie season and how to produce as he did in his first year. So is he a trick or a treat moving forward?
I just think there's too many good tight ends. Not even good. There's just too many tight ends that sort of fit the same bill.
And I can't hear James.
And you can still get one of those tight ends. A lot of people picked up Gadsden from L.A., that was huge. So they're still out there, Fannin and things like that. Right. But I'm wondering if Sam LaPorta sits on, afterwards in the locker room and says to himself, hey, at least there's Jamison Williams. Make himself feel better.
Right.
That
he gets the same gets the same stuff or result. But maybe there's just too much going on there. I don't know. It's a weird thing, but LaPorta's one of those guys you keep thinking if he just got the rock a little bit more, it would be fascinating to see how that would come together. But Sean, how do you feel about Sam LaPorta? Is this guy, below a Zach Ertz for you moving forward? Or does he have the potential to eclipse some of these other guys? Is he a trick or a treat?
He's definitely a treat continuing to move forward. Yeah, he has been a top-tier tight end his whole career. To Jason's point, there are other options there, but he's still a middle-tier TN1 on the year. This week, we have him ranked in the tight end 2 range at full-time. I actually have him ranked in the tight end 1 range at 9 overall. He does operate in a Lions offense or a Detroit offense that operates as one of the best in the league. The problem is there's a lot of mouths to feed there. But in Detroit, with that offense going forward, I think we can rely on LaPorta, ending the year as a tight end 1 and finishing in the top 12.
Wow.
So for me, he's a treat. I'd probably put him in that Milky Way Snickers zone for me.
Whoa.
Not up at the Reese's.
Fair enough.
But kind of down, in the middle.
Gotcha. And to see, Ian, here's my issue with him is that I feel like Sam LaPorta should have a little bit more Dallas Goedert to him. And what I mean by that is 2 tight ends on really good offenses with a lot of mouths that need to be fed. But it just seems like Goedert finds the end zone a lot in a lot of these scenarios where LaPorta just doesn't get in the end zone the same type of way you would think he should as a guy with even a better pedigree than Goedert. So does LaPorta have a chance to find the end zone a little bit more and become more of a treat than a trick?
Well, it's a great question because he's become touchdown dependent. He wasn't that way before. His volume made up for it. And, if he got in the end zone, great. It was icing on the cake. Now he needs to get in the end zone to have a good week. Otherwise, he's at 10. And that's okay. There's a lot of tight ends scoring 10. But I'm with Sean. I think he's going to end the season as a mid to low end tight end 1 in the league. I think he's battling a few different things. He has a new offensive coordinator who's just kind of getting his feet wet and trying to understand what calls to play down at the goal line, what calls to play to get there. And I think that's been tough. And this week, like Jason mentioned, they actually called out Jameson Williams, who, they said, I need to get him the ball more, and I think they realized that LaPorta's a real team player. For Jameson Williams, they need to make comments like that to keep him rowing the same direction they're rowing. So it just tells you what kind of great teammate in the locker room LaPorta is because he's being underutilized, but they're not having to call that out publicly like we need to get him the ball.
Yeah.
This week they came out and said we need to get J-Mo the ball more, which they do, and he's been struggling even worse than LaPorta has. And that's going to turn around. I really believe that. I really think the offensive coordinator is going to get his feet on the ground.
Being a good teammate in the locker room it's like having a good bowl for your candy bars. It doesn't translate so much to fantasy, but it is a good thing for the real thing. I want to say thank you to Ian Ritchie and Sean Cruzen and Jason Feinberg. Enjoy Halloween. Enjoy Week 9. We'll see you next time here on the Fantasy GOAT before scary things start happening in fantasy football land.